Ask you a few questions, alright?
Okay.
What is it that you suffer from?
I suffer from depression and anxiety.
Depression and anxiety.
I suffer from recurring depression.
I suffer from depression, anxiety, and ADD.
Who and when realized your depression first, your parents or yourself?
I realized it first.
My mom actually noticed it. I decided to start skipping school a lot, and I wasn't doing my homework, and I wasn't interacting with anyone. And my mom's like, all right, well, you don't have to go to school, but we're going to go to the doctors. And I got diagnosed, and they put me on medication.
I did. It's been around for probably the last 4 or 5 years.
It was a mixture of both me and my parents. I definitely noticed it first, but, then my parents picked up on it.
How did you cope with it before you got help?
I didn't. I tried to pretend that I was okay. I'd go about putting a fake smile on, and when I was alone, I usually break down, or I just didn't do anything to help myself.
I didn't, because I didn't know I had it, and so I just kind of sat around on the internet and wished I had people to hang out with and talk to about it, but I didn't have anyone, so.
Not very well, to be totally honest with you. I held it all inside. I didn't really talk to anybody. And I just kind of, was that guy on Facebook for a while who was just like, this sucks, blah, blah, blah. And, a lot of people, just kind of just took into bad taste of who I was. And, I just kind of ruined myself, because I held it in and just expressed it the wrong way.
I really didn't. It was kind of rough, and I thought nothing was gonna be good, and everything just sucked, and I just didn't cope with it at all.
When was that moment that led you to finally get help, to finally do something about it?
At the same time, I was helping a friend of mine who was also suffering from depression, and he finally decided he's going to get help, and as a promise, I said I'd get it too. I had a physical a week later, and when I was at the doctor's office, I tried to start it off. I didn't want to flat out say I had depression, so I said I had anxiety, and the doctor asked me, do you have depression? And then I started to cry.
Well, my mom gave me help first, but at the time I didn't want to help myself. So it was kind of I got help, I stopped taking my medication, and then I decided, okay, I'm going to go back on medication and help myself. And it's just kind of been a learning process ever since then.
It wasn't my doing. I didn't want to get help. And then finally one day I cracked and I put a gun to my head and my dad walked in. And he drove me to the hospital, and my mom both. And I was admitted in psych ward for 2 days. And after that I had therapy for probably 4 months, and it was, this is January of 2011 that this happened.
I really don't know. I guess that moment, we all have that moment where you just break down and just immediately just realize, oh, it's the end of the world, nothing could get better.
Have you ever turned to self-harm as a form of escape?
No.
Never.
I knew people who did, and I tried it once. I took a knife to my wrist, and I felt like I was doing it wrong, and I just became very aggravated with it. So I just chicken scratched my whole arm from about here to here. I never really cut deep enough to leave scars, and I just thought I was doing it wrong, and I just gave up after a while because it didn't help.
I have. It's been pretty rough. I have scars lining my side and my arms from here to here. They're pretty much gone now, but it's, as I said, it was pretty rough, but that's the past.
After you started getting help, how did you start to cope with it after you got the help?
I went to therapy in the same doctor's office I broke down in, and I sort of stopped trying to pretend that I was okay. I would talk to my parents. I got prescribed medication to help me. Therapy really helped me figure out exactly why I feel this way, and also helped me with coping mechanisms, and the fact that my parents were so open with it and willing to help me helped a lot.
It was better, but it wasn't the kind of help that I needed. That was what I needed to figure out. So recently I figured out how to help myself. I stopped taking the medication, and what helps me is to make sure I get up and I keep myself occupied throughout the day. If I start to sit around a lot, I start to slip back into sleeping a lot, not doing anything.
After my therapy, really started to kick in, and I finally got everything out that I needed to over the course of a little while. I started feeling a little bit better about it, and as the year went on in 2011 was a big year for me, and it was a long road to recovery from 2011 to 2000. That's when I met Jerry Only in late 2011, and things with him started going forward. That's when the recovery really sped up, is when I started meeting other people, and their impacts on my life was much more than the impact I had made myself. The help that I got at the time, which is therapy, it was help, but it was just someone to talk to, really, who was trained to talk to me. But when I started hanging out with people who really were like me, that's when things really started to pick up for me.
I don't know. I started to cope with it a little bit better than I was before. It was still like a rough journey to get back to that whole happiness and just wanting to talk with people and actually wanting to interact with people. I've spent a whole month just staying in my room doing nothing, and then after I started getting help, I actually wanted to go out, hang out with people. So, yeah.
And how are you now?
I'm better.
Much better. I wake up every morning and I'm not necessarily excited to do things, but I'm okay with doing things. I don't want to sit around and do nothing anymore. I want to enjoy and experience life.
Right now I'm actually doing very well. Recently I had two very close people of mine pass away, and I just train wrecked for a couple of weeks. I completely shut down and stopped going to class. I stopped doing my work. I just couldn't take it, but I recognized that, it's better to get help sooner than later. So I, went to the school, and I was like, I need help, and, the counseling, got me right in, and, we came up with a plan, and just that first visit, and then I followed it, and it got me through finals. And, I went to another one today, and they want to, just set a game plan to get me back on my feet in the spring, and they liked the progress that I had made in just the last week alone, and really trying to kick it up a notch and recover as quickly as possible. And right now I'm doing phenomenal.
I'm better. Proud to even say that I made it to college without doing something irrational or killing myself. Definitely a lot better now.
Do you have anything to say to those who are still in the midst of battling this?
Don't try to hide it. Get help as soon as possible. The longer you wait, the worse that it gets. If you don't tell somebody, you're doing nothing more than hurting yourself. So.
Not to sound cliche, but it honestly gets better, and it's all a learning experience. If something's not working now, or if you're in therapy, or if you're taking medication and it's not helping you, you're not happy, you need to find another way to channel it.
To those who are still suffering, get help, if you need it, it gets to that point. But the biggest thing is, like I said, sometimes professional help just isn't enough because you're in an environment where it is, professional help. Try to surround yourself with people who make you feel good. That's what I did. The therapy was good. It allowed me to talk to somebody who really knew what they were talking, how to respond to what I was saying. in a non-derogatory manner, and they help me get through it. But the biggest thing is surrounding yourself with people who are comfortable with you and you're comfortable with them. And it's just kind of like almost like secondary therapy, but you get on a more personal level with the people like that. It's not somebody you pay to fix you and help you get through it. It's people who are genuinely there for you. I know without Sam here, it'd be kind of rough. But, it's just honestly look to your friends who are really close to you and really meaningful. And, if something does happen, you do get professional help and there seems like there's nobody, just kind of broaden your horizons a little bit. Find somebody you normally wouldn't talk to, because you never know who the hell is out there until you start talking to them. So, talk.
Just like what Olivia said, it gets better. Like, it might seem like the end of the world, but it definitely does get better. And I'm happy to say that I'm alive and I'm enjoying life. And yeah,
They're happy.
I'm happy.